What's up?
It's live.
The outro we'll do in the booth.
Oh, okay, perfect.
We're planning right now on what we're going to say to you guys. So,
ill-prepared. You'll find out in the podcast. Talk a little bit about it. Details for me, not the greatest sometimes, but we found a character here.
We did. So, if you guys missed the live show and didn't get to make it, I know there's a ton of people that didn't make it to the show. We're kicking it up on YouTube so you guys can watch it and enjoy it.
That's going to be exciting, man. That's going to be awesome.
Exciting.
That's awesome.
These two characters,
well,
pretty good. Pretty good.
Look, you're in between fighting them off right now.
Yeah, it's like,
we're good. We're good.
So,
we've been brothers for quite some time.
Cody made the trek out to Missoula, Montana when we wrapped up, and we did that at the Onyx headquarters. He made the trek out again to Washington to host this. What was this your first ever
live podcast. Now it's not so live, but it was live.
It used to be live.
It used to be live.
5 days
But we wanted to bring it to you guys, so everybody could see it.
For everyone that missed it, this is going to be for you guys, obviously. We may be doing another one in another city. Leave a comment below if you guys would like to see us do one in the future, where that might be.
Tag your city.
Tag your city.
Throw a city out there. We'd love to hear from you.
Throw it on.
We're going to leave a link in the description below where you guys can go over to his podcast and check it out on audio if you guys don't have time to watch it. Some of you guys may be at work or something and can just listen to it on your way to work or whatever. So we'll leave that in the description below.
What's his podcast?
His podcast.
Rich Outdoors, baby.
Podcast.
The only podcast.
No, guys, but thank you so much for following along with us. We have a lot more to bring to you guys. We are at the ATA show right now. We're going to go hit up and hang out with our boys at Onyx. And that's about it.
All right, guys. So we're out now. We will talk to you soon. Enjoy the show, guys.
Let's do it. Whose turn? All right.
Heavenly Father, we just come before you today, humble, grateful, and thankful for everything that you do for us. I just thank you for this opportunity to be with these fine men, for the opportunity to be out here in this land that is ours. And I'm thankful to be part of this project, Lord, that it will reach out to people in a way that lets them know that this is who we are, this is where we came from. Just the work that we do, that it will go out and it will change the lives of other people that will want to be part of what we do, what we enjoy so much. Just ask you be with our families at home. I just ask that you bless us today, that you keep us all safe. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Dirk's a real show-off.
I don't know about you guys, but that song absolutely gets me fired up. How about you guys? Yeah! It's pretty much become my theme song, and I think this summer when I'm shooting my bow, I'll be playing that song every day.
I don't smell it.
There's a chair right here. So I hope you guys have become this professional because we're gonna have fun. Thank you guys so much for coming. This is amazing, absolutely amazing. What's that?
There's no elk meat here.
Right side.
We might have tag soup on this side.
I'm the cheater. I didn't kill an elk, so.
So I want to, first off, thank you guys, but I want to start this off with a story. And the story's about Trent. He probably doesn't want me to tell the story. It's not the one you're thinking. So 2 years ago, we were at the Northwest Mountain Challenge and at Hoodoo. And we were sitting around the campers, drinking some adult beverages and watching a fine gentleman's game of cornhole. And Trent and I were just chatting, and for those who know Trent's background, he's a timber faller. He's come from the woods, and Trent and I were just talking a lot about how to make it work. And at the time, Born and Raised had built this awesome thing. Their DVDs were amazing, but just DVD sales were slumped, and it was kind of this lull. And Trent and I were just talking about, and he was telling me, I need to make it work. I got to make it work. And I could just see in his eyes, this is a guy that's going to do it. And I can't tell you how proud I am of the whole crew, not just Trent and Cody, but the whole crew. But you guys have worked your butts off to make it work. And I could not be more proud. Like, congratulations. So give it up for the Born and Raised crew.
Thank you, man. Good, seriously. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, Cody, everyone here knows everything about this project, but let's just talk a little bit about it. Or, BMAC, if you want to say something as well.
I just think perspective is always a good place to start from, and Cody's story really kind of starts to paint the picture for how this whole thing came together. But to say we are all proud of Born and Raised, I think, is an understatement. To be a part of this project was really incredible. But what's been more important to me is watching this whole thing come from, like Cody painted. They crushed the DVD game for many, many, many years. I think they inspired all of us that are sitting in this crowd today, including many of us that are up here. But they didn't really get the credit for it because back in the day with DVD sales, there was no social media. Maybe MySpace. I think Cody had a MySpace page. But it's been phenomenal to see these guys be able to take that same model, tell that same story, and then apply it to the new world of social media, specifically the YouTube channel, and to see this whole project come together. What all of you may not realize is that this started years ago, really, of this idea to share campfires with different people who have different styles of hunting and maybe different personalities. And then to be able to see this, to where Cody said, painting the picture where Trent was trying to figure out how do we make this work, to us going on a steelhead trip and kind of giving him a little bit of insight about how YouTube works. And then a year later on that same steelhead trip, Trent walking off the job as a timber faller to really kind of go all in on this. I can only imagine what that conversation was like with his wife. But to see, hey babe, I'm quitting my job, I'm gonna make YouTube videos, and I promise they're not all about just like crazy cats. We can do this. It's a risk, right? But it's pretty amazing to see where that all started and now where we are here today. But I guess the whole model of that conversation is these guys absolutely deserve everything that's coming their way. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. But perspective, again, is a great thing to kind of reflect back on.
Come on, give it up.
I want to add something real quick. I just want to thank each and every one of you guys for showing up tonight, for watching the videos. Steve Speck here had us over to Boise a couple weeks ago at EXO Christmas Party, and the experience that Trent and I had there was amazing to meet everyone that was watching it and felt like they knew us, and we want to feel like we know you guys. So that's why we're here tonight. We're stoked that you guys showed up, and we hope we can shake everybody's hand tonight, and just really want to thank you guys for coming out tonight.
Yeah, Absolutely. So Cody, why don't you walk us through kind of like what was the plan? And I know like this comes from you had this idea, but it wasn't ironed out. I mean, we had talked about it. It was kind of like
born and raised, huh?
No, I mean it's like
Details.
Well, what I want to get at is you had this rough idea, but you and Trent went 100 miles an hour at it, and it was kind of like I'm gonna figure it out along the way.
No,
So
and that's
let's go back to that time and be like, what was your initial idea for this, and then how did that form as you kind of went along?
So I mean, the whole thing we started like I think I had about 5 or 6 years ago. We had this idea of like hunting all these states over the counter OTC, like anyone can go do. And so as we kind of came to it, like, hey, this is a goal this year, let's do that. Then it was like, well, it's a little bland with just us 4 doing it, from born and raised. So then it was like, well, let's share hunting camps with these guys that we've grown friendships with. I mean, it's really cool to be up here tonight and think about the first time I met Jason was about 7 years ago when he first started his call company. Steve had Pure Elevation. I met him at the Portland Sportsman Show in 2009. BMAC came to Full Draw Film Tour in like 2009 in that era in Portland. And so it's like all of these, we've had some friendships that we've grown together. And we actually had a conference call. BMAC was there and he's like, well, dude, it's about public lands. It's all about the brotherhood, about this collaboration. And that's really when it, I think things kind of leapt forward from just 4 dudes going hunting, trying to kill elk. And so then we were really, really nervous, not gonna lie, because not only we didn't have it planned out fully, which is pretty much our style, like we edited the video for today. But it was, now we're gonna go on this adventure, and we've never elk hunted with anybody outside of our group.
Well, before that, we were worried that we were going to make calls and no one would say yes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we literally called up each of these guys, and every one of them said yes. So that was amazing.
Yeah, so as that kind of morphed into it about a year ago, we were on a flight home from Indianapolis at the ATA show, and it's like, all right, if we're going to do this, it's like all cards in, let's do this. And I think that conversation we got home, it's like, we're going to make a run at this, and it kind of morphed to what it is today. Like we had no realm of or expectations of what it could be. So,
Looking back, what would you have changed or done differently in those early days, trying to map this all out? Is there anything that you would have changed, or is it kind of just been what it is?
details.
I think I would have hunted Montana a little earlier.
The weather in Montana, maybe?
Hey, there was one good day that did
And
not
maybe
go
Nick
on.
should have brought more arrows. I don't know. Whatever. Is that too early?
Hey, it's a good hunt when I get there on day 1 and Nick's like, you bringing extra broadheads? I'm like, what happened? It was good, but bad.
Yeah, so Steve and I showed up a day before everybody that you guys didn't see, and it was epic.
Didn't see because you guys didn't film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's good. We are a filming
They
company.
crushed the baby bird.
Smashed it.
That was a big bird. That was not a baby bird.
So is there a favorite moment throughout the whole time? I mean, you're kind of selecting it out, but what's your favorite
It's
moment?
impossible.
Let's go. All the BRO guys, I want to hear, what's your favorite moment, Trent? Shooting your first 6 point?
Man, I've been asked this question actually before, and my favorite moment was honestly meeting all the new groups. A lot of these guys, I mean, all of them we've never hunted with. We've never spent a whole lot of time, honestly, with Dirk and with Donnie and with Steve. I mean, I knew Steve, in passing, but when you go into a hunt together and then you create this bond, at first at a hunt, right? Well, you look at him as like, can he bugle? How's it going? How things work. It's a bunch
Little
of
sizing
dudes.
the up, right?
Yeah, it's
Like
a
peacock.
I'm not going to say pecking order, but it's a bunch of dudes that are like, okay, where do we fit into this whole mix? And then after that 10 days, growing such great bonds and friendships with each other that you would do anything for that guy at the end of the day. And that was my favorite part, is just the friendships I made out of the whole thing.
You didn't have any reservations about calling for the best caller in the world? I mean, you crushed it, but...
Well, he passed the bull.
I don't know if this is in the video later, because I didn't want to watch it, but that moment where you look at Corey and you're like, excuse me, what? Like,
because I knew the bull was close to him, and I'm like, this is like the most epic day ever. You know, I mean, it was perfect, and yeah, he passed it up, but I mean, it all worked out really, really well. But yeah, I think there was a point where I did maybe say that I hope is right. I didn't say I hope. I think I said if your family starves this year, don't come crying to me. I think I did say that. Yeah.
That escalated quickly.
It did. Yeah.
Steve, what was your favorite moment?
There you go, bro.
For me was probably getting to hunt with guys that I've never got to hunt with before. But B-Mac and Casey coming to Oregon and the pressure that was put on us to try to, Roosevelt elk are tough elk to hunt and harvest, and to be able to get a couple down and, the first week of season, that was a huge moment, to me.
I think we actually got some video to play there.
Yeah, let's play the video.
All right, video 1 right here.
Do we have to duck?
I think we should probably move.
He's shot. Yes. Dude, that's a stud. It's a stud.
How about Trevor's face paint game? Anybody?
How about B-Mac's
Pretty
face
strong.
paint game?
Pretty strong.
Yours was pretty good, man.
But Trevor went full on black and gray.
It's a Navy SEAL.
Frogman.
Very committed.
I have a pack of like 20 different colors I've collected over the years, and I pulled that sucker out and I said, "Watch this."
After you got beat leg wrestling that day?
Yeah, Casey, he rushed it. I didn't know how to leg wrestle.
Excuses.
He played it. He played it down a lot, and then he came in like the thunder, and I had no chance.
One of the prerequisites to hunt with Born and Raised is you have to paint your face. Evidently.
Yes.
That was a very big deal.
In Montana, we made a deal that we weren't face painting until we heard a bugle, and we did not wear face paint that day.
At least you didn't make it so you didn't face paint till you killed one. You never would have face painted. Yeah. Sorry.
That's rude.
Too soon?
That is rude.
Yeah, it's too soon.
Too soon. So what's the deal with the Born and Raised face paint deal?
One of our things that we've always done, like back in the day, is sometimes it's slow. All the time it's slow hunting, right? And just like, let's change the game. And we always carry a couple in our pouch, and Trent and Cody and I will all sit together.
Trent carries one color, and it's black.
Yeah. Just the shadow. But then we started being like, well, I'm going to pull out something really sweet. So we'll do...
When you say sweet, do you mean like elk backwards on your face? Sweet. Just
In
asking.
my defense,
For a
I did it
friend.
in a mirror, and I didn't. I was thinking I was really cool, you know. And I look at Cody, I'm like, check this out, and he's like, Clee? I'm like, son of, that was brutal. But so we always try to add in one every year. I mean, we've done the Braveheart. We've done
They
Batman.
have names for every single style of face paint.
Yeah, you name it. We've
Everyone.
tried it. If
Trevor,
you guys
one-
have any ideas, send us a DM.
He had one year, and he called it the six-pack, and he took the plastic ring off a six-pack, put face paint on it, right across his face.
That one didn't work.
Not so great.
Kind of like Clee. Okay. So it's just something fun to do.
All right, B-Mac, tell us a little bit about that hunt we just watched. But go back a little bit and tell us that kind of the prelude to that whole hunt and being able to hunt with Born and Raised.
So the prelude, I think I don't know. I've maybe mentioned on a few other discussions or social posts, but the first time I ever saw these guys was at a Full Draw film tour. Maybe many of you have been to those before, but at the time I had lost a job and I just didn't know what I was doing and really kind of struggling to find direction in life. And lo and behold, I walked into the Aladdin Theater in Portland, and Born and Raised was headlining kind of the whole event. So they definitely gave me a lot of inspiration, hoping to do something in the outdoor world. And at the time, you know, the Hush brand or whatever never even existed. So that's kind of like the pre-story of Born and Raised. I actually emailed Cody. We have a Facebook message.
Yeah, he sent it like 2013. He's like, hey, there's this thing called YouTube. You guys should do it. And I was like, yeah, neat. It's for funny cat videos.
Never even responded, by the way.
True story.
So moral of the story, don't give up. Just keep on grinding, guys. You'll eventually get an answer. But anyways, they provided a lot of motivation. And then we connected at SHOT Show, which is a big industry trade show that is in Las Vegas every year. And Cody and I had an opportunity to kind of talk about we've got to do something together. And you may think that Born and Raised, in particular Cody, is a great elk hunter, but he's a better steelhead fisherman, I promise you this. So we were able to collaborate on a steelhead trip. He is very, very determined on the oars. He won't fish. He's very demanding, tells you what to do and what not to do.
AKA, I'm a jerk.
He's basically like a guide, but he's actually very, very good. So that was the first kind of time we ever had a chance to work together and meet and try to, explore personalities. Like, would this even work in a hunting camp? Because there's one thing when you go hunt with somebody, do you like the person? Hopefully you do. But there's another thing is like, can you actually hunt well together? You may like somebody, but you don't really hunt well together. I think this project is a really interesting, dynamic of that. And hopefully you all saw it on film. It worked really, really well. But that was kind of the backstory of how we got to know each other and how eventually that led to the hunt. I grew up in Oregon, so I spent my whole life from 1980 till 2014 in Oregon before my wife and I moved to Salt Lake. So Oregon is home to me. I always just went east, though. I spent a lot of time hunting the Blues Mountain Range and never really explored the coast. So the idea to be able to go and hunt Roosevelt elk with some of the most successful Roosevelt elk hunters that I know of was obviously an absolute no-brainer. And Casey and I were able to be the lucky two guys that got to go do that.
Yeah, and it turned out awesome. What an amazing trip. And like Steve and I were talking about how you had this thing on the board. It's like, okay, we're gonna hunt rosies the first week of season. And for you guys to be able to just put 2 rosies down, it was like, oh, this is getting
a miracle,
serious.
pretty much. I mean,
So basically, Roosevelt hunting is really easy.
Yeah.
That was literally their motto. Like, it's easy, man. Like, you just go out and you shoot one at 6 yards the first day of season. It's like, that has never happened in the history of our entire seasons. Like, never once. So it was really neat. I mean, literally, it's the jungle. Who here hunts the jungle? Yeah. Who embraces
jungle.
it?
And
Yeah.
Love the jungle. So good.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. Isn't that what they say?
I think, but like you guys, like the whole thing that we've tried to portray throughout this whole deal is like it's real, it's raw, it's whatever happens, happens. And that day was like the epitome of a roller coaster bow hunt.
Well, I mean, we got kicked out of the last spot, right? I mean, the weather was really hot. All of you that live here know the forest fires were terrible this year. Super smoky. We had to go to Plan B. Trent had kind of been throwing out this Plan B for a little while, AKA code word swamp. And we had a chance to finally get to the swamp.
And also, Swing Shift was born this year.
So
it was born and it
we
stayed
may not
there
have
the
brought a
whole
lot
time.
to the table from a technical standpoint, but I think we try to bring some kind of fun, lightheartedness, great food, and just
amazing food.
You know,
Yeah.
try to relax a little bit. That
Sleep in.
was what we brought.
Relax
in
so
in the
much that
morning.
you snore a lot.
Yeah. Sleeping in, hunting from about 3 till late in the evening. It was good.
How effective
I
was
liked
that,
it.
Steve?
It was
Our
very
Experiences-
effective.
Our experiences were so different. Hot weather, elk dying, sleeping in, not hiking a million miles a day.
You guys are trying too hard.
They kept saying is hunt smarter, not harder.
I think we need to do that. We need to sleep in and hunt before September.
I think Land of the Free 2.0, you guys should switch. You guys get Oregon, and BMAC and Casey get
Yeah, you know
Montana.
how Oregon will go. We won't even see an elk for a week. You guys all know that was a total fluke, right? Like,
It'll be
there's
show
no way
2.0.
we could do that again.
Yeah, for sure. So what was next up on the agenda? I mean, you roll out of Oregon. It is a win-win.
Yeah, so we actually, like Trent and I left early. So we hunted, we had 4 days slated. And then with Donnie, Dirk, and Corey, we had to be in Wyoming on the 30th of August? 31st. 31st to start the first. So we roll out, 2 bulls dead. As we're driving through, we get a phone call. Steve's like, yep, we killed another bull. Like, you got to be kidding me. The next day, after the first day, Trevor, yep, we killed another bull. What is going on?
So what was the conversation on the en route to Wyoming? You and Trent riding the truck, like, what just happened?
No, I mean, pretty much disbelief.
Yeah, it was broke up too. So sorry guys. Usually yell loud enough. I know. No, it was all broke up. So it was like we killed, and we're like, what happened? What happened? And so it was a call back, and then finally got a hold of, I think it was Trevor's phone. I think he had it over his head or something. Anyway, and then we got to hear that, and then the next day we had to get to the top of the mountain to hear Trevor get his text, and I see Trevor behind a big Blackhorn 5-point, and I'm like, what in the world? It was awesome. It was amazing, and so we were so excited for them, and that kind of gave us motivation, and then we started Wyoming.
So how was day 1 of Wyoming, Dirk?
Wyoming day 1 was pretty good. I don't like to shoot an elk on the first day because, I like to hit all the highs and lows and then, wait till the very end and get one. But, I want to take one for the team, so I shot one opening day.
I did the whole way to the very end, and it's not as awesome as you.
Turned out to be a 6-point.
So on day 1, I'm calling for Trent. And I haven't spent much time with Trent. I've spent some time with Cody. And I'm calling, and there's a little bit of pressure. We walk, it had to have been 30 yards from the truck.
35.
35 if we're going to be technical. But I let out a bugle, or I let out a cow call.
Cow call.
And a bull responds. And in the video, you can see my reaction like, oh, it worked.
You just never know every year.
Yeah, but in
know.
reality, he's like, yep, we got him tied up.
Yeah. No, it was.
Dirk and Donnie at this point are like, yeah, we look real good.
Yeah.
Should we play the video for you guys?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yep, let's Wyoming here.
Packing out meat. We see some more elk. This is my gun. Come, chameleon. Oh, he is coming. I will not let you. You won't? I'll knock that arrow off your rest if you try to shoot a spike. He's walking right at us. He's coming right at us. Are you my mother? unacceptable. Not that I'm passing it up, by no means. There's a bull. There's a bull coming in right now.
That's Spike.
Mm-hmm. Are those not considered bulls? Have you ever killed a spike?
Killed like 10 of them.
And I'm the bad guy. He's gonna walk. Hold on. He's gonna walk right to us. I'm just thinking how easy it would have been with my stick bow on that. That's a big spike, big bone spike. I just passed out my first bull. Dirk wouldn't let me shoot it.
I think we can do better.
We can do better. We can do better. That was pretty awesome, though.
His mom might be a little sad if he didn't come home for dinner tonight. I seriously thought you were going to shoot that spike.
So did he.
Hey, if you guys ever are invited to hunt with Born and Raised, they're going to tell you one thing. If you do not shoot the first legal bull, we will beat you.
Back of the line.
In the back of the line.
Yeah, we're not used to passing up animals. I'm not going to lie to you. It's just like you don't get so many opportunities a season. And when you're hunting with me and Steve and Cody and Trevor, and you've got that long to kill all those elk, that you're trying to kill all those elk, you don't pass up much.
In Idaho, that happened. Eric was hunter, and we saw those two spikes bedded at 80 yards, or 85, and same thing. He goes, oh, they're just spikes. I'm like, they're spikes?
You see how many groceries were right there on that screen?
I had a bow on my backpack. I'm like, well, get out of the way then.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it worked out. Let's just say that. But yeah, Dirk, you were pretty adamant I didn't shoot it.
What would his mother have said if he didn't come home for dinner?
I don't think they think that way.
See, Trent, this is what happens. This is what happens when you let some of them walk. You finally got your 6-point.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. It was the Wyoming roller coaster was an amazing ride. And thank you guys to all of you guys for sticking with us through that and the positive comments, because I was up and I was down in the dumps, and then I back up, and it was an amazing hunt. A hunt I'll never forget in my life. So, but all you guys' positive comments that watched, kind of keeping my chin up. It was amazing, guys. Thank you.
You know, something that really stood out in my mind throughout that hunt is if you guys have ever hunted with like new people or a different person that you normally hunt with, you don't know what to expect. You have kind of these ideas what it's going to be like, and you know, I'd known Cody for quite a while. I'd met Trent about a year before the hunt, and I knew they were great guys, but that doesn't always equate to having a really great elk camp. And within the first few minutes of our hunt together, I knew it was going to be great. You know, there was no egos, there was no, well, we're going to do it my way. There was none of that. It It was like we've known each other forever and we've been doing this hunt together for years. So it was really easy to hunt together. It was so fun.
It's really easy when you guys kill every bull you see.
So, for me, one of the highlights of the moment was not in what everybody saw on YouTube, but we've been tracking Trans Bull for it's probably been 2.5 hours. And we made it up to this ridge where it was a die or go home kind of a moment. And cameras off, spirits are extremely low at this point because we'd been tracking this bull for quite a ways. And
uphill, like that's the one thing I think the hardest part of like depiction of video is frontal shot. People love it or hate it. That bull we thought was going to be dead within the first 100 yards. You're going to walk up over in this burn, we're going to see him dead. We walk up, we don't see him. We get blood, and it's a little bit of blood, but it's not like phenomenal. But we literally went a mile straight up the mountain. I mean, and gained almost 800 feet elevation. So in that blood trail, in that moment, similar to what BMAX was, we were all like, this does not look good. This is not going to end happy.
No. And we got up to that point, and we're literally on a ridge, and it's turn or go home. We're going to separate at this point. And some of us are going to go back, and some of us are going to keep going on and looking for his bull. But we had a moment there where we just set everything aside. We sat down, we had some lunch, and just sat there, and we all talked and just shared where we were at. And at that point, there was not going to be a bull in some of our in my mind. It was not looking good, and you don't want to show that to the person that actually, released that arrow. And there was just something there that it happened. So Dirk and I left and walked. We were headed back to the trucks to go around to get those guys after finding this bull that I didn't think was going to get found. And Dirk and I had probably gone 500-600 yards straight away down the other side when they dropped over the other side. And Dirk and I are down there, and we hear this from the top of the hill. We can barely hear it. And we look back up to the top, and we can see Corey waving his arms to go, come back up. And in that moment, I think Dirk and I could have won a Olympic 400-yard dash.
We ran up that hill.
Back up to the top. Because it was just in the heartbeat, everything changed, because we knew as soon as we saw Corey waving that they had found it. And it was there. And it was, for me, that was my height of that hunt, just knowing that it was done and we had been successful on filling 4 tags in 10 days, which is a feat in itself.
Another thing the camera didn't show is after we got the bull kind of worked up, Corey and I walked back to the trucks, and the other guys went back. But we got on this trail, and we're walking back to the trucks, and it's quite a long ways. And I started counting grizzly bear piles of scat. And I quit counting at 20 because I would take about 10 steps. Oh, there's one. Oh, there's one. I quit counting it after 20, and literally the whole way back to the truck was nothing. There, about every 10 steps, there was a pile of grizzly bear scat. Yeah. But it was old, so that was encouraging.
Who here enjoyed the retrieval of the trail camera? We dropped the ball, but that night when we got back after packing Trent's Bowl out, we were all tagged out in Wyoming. We've got a day to burn before we meet these guys in Colorado. We stick the card in. Well, when they walked up on the carcass and prematurely shot at a raven, right? With the bear spray.
How about Johnny's form, by the way?
I like it. He was rolling in sideways. And so here we are, like they're like, hey, there was no sign at the carcass of any bears. So we're like, all right, well, let's plop this in. So we start looking through it. It's like raven, vulture, like, oh, golden eagle, that's awesome. Raven, bear. And that camp,
we exploded.
Like, it erupted that night. Because the whole time, like, we were probably, I mean, Trent and I kind of talked about this. We were a little ill-prepared for hunting grizzly country. And like, we hunt black bears. Black bears run away. And little did we know, like a week or day after we left, a guy got attacked. Luckily, made it safe. But anyways, definitely lesson learned.
Yeah. Trent, what was your perspective going into bear country? Because you were kind of lackadaisical a little bit about it.
He ate in his tent. He ate food in his tent.
Threw the sleeping bag down onto the truck, huh, Trent?
And I believe he left his pistol on the mountain for just a few days for fun.
I think the word would be naive, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, we've never seen a grizzly bear before. We've been around a lot of black bears, and it's like, it's a bear. And same thing. They got to be. They're big. They got hair, no horns. And so we're just like, I don't know. And one night I got my oatmeal. I mean, you know the little packets of Quaker oatmeal, and it was cold in the mornings, and so I just had my jet boil in the tent, and so I just grabbed one of those packets, you know. And Corey catches me doing it, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm gonna put this in my tent for breakfast." "You're crazy, man." I'm like, crazy.
Real risk taker.
Yeah, I'm thinking, wow, we're living life on the edge here, you know. And I got my oatmeal, and so obviously they have these bear-proof boxes that you put your food in, and I put it back. But yeah, we were just until we saw the one on the game camera. I didn't even think they existed, honestly. We didn't see anything.
Kind of like the chupacabras. They are real, though.
How many people here want to see Dirk's version of the chupacabra bugle?
It's more of a Yeti or a Bigfoot. We did see some Bigfoot anomalies, though.
Bingo, I taught you that.
There were grizzly prints inside of the outhouse.
Yeah, there was. They told me about these grizzly prints inside the outhouse. And I'm like, they weren't there when we were there.
The year before they were.
Dents in the door.
They changed the door. Anyways. Yeah, in Montana, if we would have got attacked by a grizzly, we'd have been so excited about it.
Well, yeah, you literally tried to. You're like, oh, there's a den. Let's see what's in it.
The last stuff that we had, I smeared it all over me just to maybe get a run or something. No, it was cold, and we get back to the rig in Montana, and we made this huge loop, like a 3-day loop, and finally got back to the pickup rig and drove around, and there's 2 pamphlets in the windshield wipers, grizzly bear pamphlets in the windshield wipers. We're like, maybe we shouldn't have slept with our food, but we never did see one there either. I don't know.
Wyoming was a pretty epic trip. Up next, right on the board.
Well, yeah, I mean, so as we drive out of Wyoming, we're talking spec. Those guys are rolling. They were going to stay up late and watch a Boise State game, I think, until like 1 in the morning and then leave. So Trent and I are at a KOA campground in Colorado cutting up his bull. So as we pull up, there's this cabin right next to us. Like, we're in the cheap seats over here in the tents, you know, and then they have a cabin right next to us. And this lady's sitting on the front porch just like death staring us with her little puppy dog, like, well, we got some meat to cut up. And then the camp host came out, and he was just like, dude, that's awesome. We met a guy from Texas, So we cut up a bull at a KOA campground, met these guys the next day. Yeah, that's right, do your own meat, it's rad. But the next day, we met Pure Elevation crew. Steve buys a tag, and I guess we got a video for them.
Yeah. Let's run it. getting pretty strong.
Pretty much like, I think Steve bought his tag less than 24 hours before that whole deal went down.
Yeah, I think it was like right at 23 hours. Roll into a town in Colorado, buy a tag, and then we're like, where are we hunting? Cody and Trent are like, literally, we stop and get a burger and a beer, and they pull out a map. And I'm looking at Lenny and Tyler going, what? We just drove 13 hours, and you don't know where we're hunting?
True story, not gonna lie.
And then on the way in there, we're like trying to find a route in there because they're just looking at some old map, and like roads are closed, and we're just like, awesome, guys. Like, I thought we were going somewhere good. But
What was that, Cody, about making stuff up as you go?
It's the details. Sometimes there's details, and then you just kind of roll with it.
What's the details, Cody? Oh, we're hunting in Colorado. Yeah.
It's over the counter. We just rolled in. No, that was the whole thing. Is like throughout some of this projects, like some of these spots, literally, and I guess that's kind of our like whole message behind it is, you don't have to know someone that's been there or seen that. Like, just go, enjoy the adventure, and then adjust on the fly. And we definitely adjust on the fly.
yeah, it was definitely an eye opener for me because I mean, anything we hunt in Idaho is going to be really scouted. I'm going to tear apart Google Earth, research maps, talk to people, go scout an area. And to just go to Colorado for the first time and throw a dart at the map, you know, you're just kind of like, I only got 30 days in September. Like, I got.
And the problem is, the first dart, we literally missed the boards. So what you don't see is like Trent and I are like, well, let's go check this out. This should be good. And as we start down this, all of a sudden we come to this road that on the map it goes through. So, but then it says private ground, no trespassing, no entry past this point. And so then we're like,
where do we go from here?
Crickets. We didn't have a plan B, really. Yeah. So we drove a couple more hours, found another spot, loaded the packs up, and
yeah, literally just hiked across, parked on the side of the road, and started hiking across country. And yeah, it was freaking awesome.
Were you thinking it was awesome at the time, or like driving to the second spot, you're like, what are we doing?
Yeah, you have your doubts.
I think the whole time Cody and I were looking at each other like, this could go really, really bad. And they're going, well, these guys hunt elk all the time. They know exactly what we're doing. Cody and I remember there was one point where like, are we in a good spot? I don't know. I didn't know.
But I think there's something to be said for that. That's kind of your guys' style, just being able to go anywhere, pick a spot on the map.
And you got in a pile of elk.
Yeah.
It was epic.
Again.
Absolutely.
That was the amazing close call hunts ever. It was just, there were so many times that we're at full draw and you just need that one step or that one twig or branch to get out of the way. You know, it was just, it's so close.
It's the epitome of bow hunting. It's a game of inches, right? And it was an inch left, right, a branch less, whatever it was, would have resulted. Literally, all of us had close opportunities, and dang near should have tagged out.
Yeah, how we walked out of there without all 5 tags notched. I mean, I still shaking my head. It was unbelievable elk hunting, but you know that's just what
Not
happens
enough
sometimes.
pro tips, maybe.
Yeah. The pro tips was part of like one of the highlights of that trip.
That was awesome.
I love Jason is he's like, pro tip number 492. If you squeeze into the wind and run and it's still at your back, it's still at your back, so you're good.
So what was the highlight for you, Steve, of the entire Colorado trip? I mean, besides filling your tag at 23 hours.
You know, I think from a big perspective, Trent, just hunting with Trent and his optimism, just waking up every day and having that guy in camp that's like, let's go guys, let's do this, we can do it. I think that's really, it was just awesome. The funniest highlight had to be Doug Flutie.
He got me good.
We got bad. So Jason and I were hunting. It was that we had moved spots. Again, this was even more of a random throwing dart at the map. And Jason and I were hunting, and we had just blown up a bull, and he was like 50 yards and it ran off. And then we're sitting there, and we hike like 200 yards, and we hear another bugle, and we're like, you know, your first instinct like, oh, that's a hunter for sure. And you know, that whole time we dealt with a lot of hunting pressure, so we're constantly judging bugles. Is that a hunter? Is that a bull? And this guy was, you know, this bugle was sounding, and we were like, I don't know, you know, like we're just really shaking our heads back and forth. And he called us like 400 yards across, and then we came across and he was sitting in this rock pile, like a 100-yard rock pile, just in the middle of it, out in the sun, just like bugling away, and like, oh, okay, we just got called in. But the part that was so random about it was there was no, he must not have been able to hear us. That's the only thing I could think, because we were calling back to him and it kept going away from us. So like, what hunter would walk away from us unless like, my bugles look,
Yeah, he saw
maybe
you.
my bugles were that bad, which is pretty evident in the video sometimes.
Who here has been called in by another hunter? Honestly.
Oh, raise your hand.
Come
There's
on.
more than
So we right after that, we literally left, and then we got a hold of Trent and Crockett, and Tyler had shot at that bull, and we met up, and that was a heartbreaking moment, really tough for Tyler. And we basically at that point had decided to hike out of the country, and we were a long ways from the truck, a long ways, I don't know, 7-8 miles, something like that, and no trail, had to climb a couple thousand feet out of this rocky canyon, and we start climbing, probably climb 1,000 feet, and we hear a bugle back behind us, and we all look at each other and go, oh, okay, I guess we're going that way, the bull's the other way, we're gonna go back, and we start going back, and the best part is, Trent, I'm really relying on him for telling if it's a bull or a hunter. And he's just, everybody watched the video, and it was pretty epic that we got called in by the same guy twice. and at least the second time I had Trent with me, so it wasn't so bad.
Oh, man.
But,
and our whole time we're like, no elk can sound, we were like, no hunter can sound that bad. It was terrible. It's like, it's gotta be an elk, gotta be. And again, he was under a rock pile, I think, eating a lunch. We're like, no. It was rough, but it does happen. It happens. Twice.
It does happen. I mean, like you said, it's a game of inches, and I think that was kind of like the first time within the whole series I was like, okay, this is real bow hunting. I think all the times before that, it was just so epic, so good. And then that was kind of your first wake-up call, so to speak. It was like, oh.
Well, I think at that point we'd put up like 20 videos and 8 bulls, I think, 9 bulls, something like that had been shot. It was like, all right, every other day, let's keep this going.
Yeah, it was just tough hunting. Sometimes that happens.
So what was your thought? Now you're moving states again. It was a tough hunt. Did you kind of a little bit low, or was it keep the motivation high, or what was it going to the next state?
Yeah, so leaving Colorado, I carpooled back with Steve to Boise, and then it was Trent up. And Trevor had already been in Idaho for, 3 or 4 days?
4 or 5 days. Yeah, 5 days.
4 or 5 days. So I headed home, and then, Trent drove. So we leave the lodgepole thicket of Colorado. You guys saw it. And it probably, like when Steve, where he shot his bull, it was dog hair thick. Like literally trying to pack his bull out was blow down, and you'd take a step over, hit a tree. It was super thick. And then what was your impression of Idaho when you rolled in?
Yeah, I had left that night. I left, I don't know what time it was, but it was tough for me, honestly, because Cody, I don't do well driving. He always drives.
He's not the best navigator.
Terrible.
Terrible.
I actually, I think the biggest worry of this whole project is I don't know where I'm going to go when you leave. I literally, does Siri know where I'm going? Because I don't.
Well, then I get a hold of BMAC, and he's like, oh, I'll send you a pin. I'm like, a pin of what? I don't even understand. What are you going to do with that? So it was definitely, it was me on my toes when Cody left. It was a tough break for him to go. And, I leave that night. I drive all night. I get there, 2:30, something like that in the morning, and roll into this pen, and found it, I guess, and found this camp, and crash out there, get woke up about 2 hours later by Trevor, and it starts to get daylight, and it's just this nothingness.
It's like the moon.
Oh, it's like these little, what are they, cedars? What are they called?
Technically junipers, but some people call them cedars.
Yeah.
Close.
Not big enough to cut down, that's for sure. So, they
not
were
going to make a
tiny.
unit.
Yeah, it was different, and just the terrain, and it was a total different hunt, and that was what was so neat about all this. Looking back on it when we went to edit it after we got back, going from the fire danger the first 3 days that we were there, 97-degree temperatures, to ending in Montana and horrifyingly cold, terrible. You'll see it. It just in just a month. I mean, that was in just a month's time, and then all the different topography and terrain was really, really cool to be able to experience all those different places.
Big quick shout out though to Trent's wife, Kendra. I think she
Raise your
deserves
hand.
a
Yes.
lot of love. Trent came into Idaho pretty beat up. What? Idaho was what, day 30 something ish?
Yeah, a day a lot, lost
Day a
count.
lot, yeah. Trent rolled into Idaho a little bit worn out, a little bit banged up, missing the family, rightly so. I think originally all of us, it's okay, Donnie. He's got a Snapchat going. Originally all of us would love the idea of hunting for 50 days straight until you actually do it. And it's a pretty big undertaking, right? And so he came in missing the family big time. But realistically, like for a family to thrive and to be able to continue and keep him inspired, like Steve mentioned, like I think we've all experienced, Trent was the one cornerstone of the project that saw it from beginning to end, and his mindset and his mental toughness never really changed from beginning to end. He was always the first guy up, the most positive, the most upbeat, arguably maybe the funniest. We just had a great time with Trent. So anyways, when he got to Idaho, he was a little bit tired, a little bit down, but I think it turned around pretty quick.
It could have been something with the sushi, maybe? Something like that. You guys had more food than I've ever seen in my life. We came back to camp, and I the first morning, there was a bull bugling outside of camp, and we went after him, and Eric shot at him. It didn't turn out. We didn't get him, but that morning, I talked to Casey, and I'm like, okay, so what do I pack? How long? How far are we going and everything? He goes, whoa. Put the pack down. Put the pack down. And I said, well, no. I mean, how much are we going? We will be, put it down, he says. He goes, we're going to be back here by 10:30. Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry. And I said, I love hunting with you guys.
Safety first, though. Trent kept his tent poles in the pack the entire trip.
Entire trip.
Just for a little extra weight.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I get a text after that first day. He's like, holy cow, I had fresh eggs and bacon this morning for breakfast.
It was amazing.
What do you call it, Cody? A ribeye hunt?
Well, that was Trevor, New Mexico last year. It was every time, like, Trent and I are backpacking in Idaho, and when we get cell service, it's just like, right here, selfie with his ribeye.
I was trying to convince people to go with me, and I'm like, if you come and help me, I will cook ribeye every single night. And I'm a man of my word.
That he did. It was good.
It was awesome. God bless you, Steve.
But I think that's like, I mean, elk or elk. I mean, it's, no matter where they live, there's somewhat similar habits throughout them. And I think the coolest thing, bow hunting is bow hunting. And it doesn't matter if you're hunting a super amazing draw tag or on an over-the-counter hunt. But I think the biggest thing there is Trevor's bull, which we'll show you here in a sec. The experience that he had, I mean, it's like, it's a game of inches. And this all came back down of the roller coaster of what Trevor experienced there. So I think we got a quick clip for that.
Stop.
Awesome, dude.
Did you get him? Smoked him. Shoot him good. Smoked him.
I think he's crying. Guys, that's the whole thing. We respect these animals more than anything.
That's not how I wanted to do it, but we got it.
Man. Oh. Yeah, that was rough. What happened?
I don't know. Sorry guys, I lost it a little bit there. I just felt terrible, you know, because he was suffering. I see they chose the part where I cried, and that was neat.
Highs and lows, highs and lows. One of the things I love about Trent is his enthusiasm. And like, it just kills me every time. But how cool is that? I mean, you guys were there together. He showed up. You guys get a...
Oh, it was a big lift.
Yeah.
I'd been there for 5.5 days, and it was a grind. And Trent showed up, and it was like, oh.
Trent's like, this is easy. What are you guys doing?
That was day 10, though.
Yeah, we were in deep.
That took a while.
Oh, we ground, and I say that we ate great food and did all that, but we hunted really. I mean, we were putting in 10-mile-plus days almost every day, and it just, you know, it was so open. It was new to me and Trevor. It wasn't to BMAC, and so our hunting style was just bugle our heads off, and you know, there was going to be one come in, right? And
So, did the Cat Road Shuffle work in Idaho?
it did. I mean, it honestly did. In the end, it honestly did. We did call in bulls.
Conflicting.
It honestly did. Hey.
No, it was so hard.
Yeah, but at the same time, that bull came from like 700 yards.
How good of a calling session was that, Trent?
That was all you.
Trent was
buddy.
on fire.
That was all you.
How good did you guys notice this? Trent's calling from Oregon to Montana. Did you guys notice a difference?
Got legit.
Honestly. Super huge. Big difference, right?
He might have hung out with some guys in Wyoming. I don't know.
Yellow committed reed.
Heard something.
The yellow reed, yes.
That's his reed.
That's my reed
Totally
that I
biased.
designed. Jason?
So a little backstory, when we met with these guys at XXX Archery to design these reeds, so me and Charlie are sitting there just pumping out reed after reed because Cody and Trevor are very difficult to build a call for. Trent's easy. He's like, I got this.
I'd call it precise.
I didn't have this.
No, Trent's like, we're good with whatever you throw at me. And so we're sitting there, and he's like, this is easy. You guys just... So Trent sits down with the frame, with some latex. He builds the most god-awful... The latex is like half in the frame. He stamps it in the wrong spot. It's all wrinkled, and I would be danged if he...
I think Charlie says, like, I'll give you $20 if you can bugle with that.
Yeah, but even makes a noise. And so Trent goes in the techno room there and rips off. I'm like, there's no way he just grabbed that call and used it. And he comes out, nailed it, and then he throws it on. He throws it on the table and says, anybody can build these things. He just grabbed a random piece of latex and some calls, and bam, he was
Just took your heart and stomped right on it.
It was pretty
No,
fun.
actually coming to Idaho, I thought that we were going to come and run our playbook from Oregon, or same old, and it was just going to work exactly like, you know, we have in other states. And I will tell you, it did not. In that open country in Idaho, it was much, much different. And there was one time where, you know, BMAC or Casey would look at us and be like, well, you know, what should we do? Should we call, or should we? And Trent and I would look at each other and be like, I don't know. What do you want to do? Because you're hunter. I don't want to screw it up.
Trevor came in very confident.
Super confident. That
And
changed.
it quickly changed.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
The elk, I mean, Roosevelt elk, any of you guys that have hunted Roosevelt elk know they're fairly territorial. They don't move a whole lot. And the elk that we hunted in Idaho were very different. They're very migratory in a
Several
way.
miles a day.
So wherever you may see them or hear them one day doesn't mean, I mean, they could be 20 miles away the next day. So it's very different styles of hunting. And I think, when we killed Trevor's bull, that was really, really rewarding to be able to repay the favor in a way. We really were dedicated on getting Trevor something killed before any of us picked up a bow to continue hunting.
They let me hunt 3 days in a row, guys. It was amazing.
But that's what it's all about, because they did the same for us in Oregon. So it was an awesome experience to have a chance to do that with them twice. But on that particular day, all the stars aligned, and I mean, in a way, the calling and cat road shuffle worked with the help of a decoy. I mean, the decoy was
Virginia.
Old Virginia. She was clutch.
She's real sleazy.
Whoa, Trevor! There's children here.
It's children. It's family audience.
Family show.
PG.
G-rated.
But the decoy was very critical. Those bulls literally came hundreds of yards.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, and the
700.
thing I loved about Idaho, which we don't get to do Roosevelt country. I mean, you do a little bit. You hunt clear cuts and you spot for bulls, but this country, you have your binoculars on all the time, and it was so cool to be able to spot these bulls or elk or whatever from so far away, and then make a game plan. And you can kind of strategically plan it out rather than just cat road shuffle. You're bugling, going around cat roads, just waiting till one, till one calls back. So that's what I loved about Idaho the most, was just the openness and the scheming to try to get on those elk.
One of the coolest days for me in Idaho was actually towards the end, the last day that Eric was there. We all hunted as a team.
Yeah.
Accidentally, by the way.
Accidentally. Eric really fouled me on that one. No.
No, Trent was coming out a little late that night, I believe, and we all met up after the same bugle.
While you guys were sleeping, trying to get a bugle going.
Lies.
My story.
However it worked out, we all came together.
Yeah. But anyway, we ended up meeting up and hunting the same exact bull, and it ended up being that giant bull that you guys saw in the series, and it was pretty extraordinary. We hunted him and spooked him a couple different times with his cows, hunted him several miles throughout the day, all day long, and it was just a really fun day to be, like, he would bed down and we would literally bed down and eat or something for hours and hours, and it was cool to be that close to that big of a bull for literally the whole day. And then some hunter with a bow on his shoulder decided to just cruise right into the whole herd at about 30 yards and had no idea, but it was pretty neat, and it was a fun day.
Yeah, Idaho was a good time overall. We had a lot of fun, shared a lot of laughs. I hope you guys saw that on film throughout the whole project. The laughs was probably the best part about the entire thing. We really had a great time from Oregon all the way through Montana. And I think all of these guys I've talked to individually, that's the one thing that kind of rings true. It wasn't really the elk that were killed or any of those maybe, up and close moments. It was the amount of fun that we had.
That's all we had to offer in Montana was laughs.
At least somebody said it.
And snow.
Well, on that, we were talking about all the laughs, and I think that's the one thing that stood out from Montana. You guys made a joke about how it was a terrible hunt and all these things, but when you really look at it from a whole, that was an awesome hunt, because you guys had that just group of guys that synced really well, joked really well, and made fun of Nick, and that's what's important.
Mainly. That's not hard this year. So, no, we clicked right off the bat. Trent, I rode over with Steve, or I drove, and it was like we'd hunted our whole lives together. We hunt exactly the same, and it was definitely not what I expected it to be after the first day. The first day was epic, and then the blizzard came in.
I think we got video. We got video of that. So
Yeah.
Let's hit that real quick.
Day 4, we've been into a lot of good bulls, had some shot opportunities, didn't turn out so well. We're back in here about 7 miles. We're packed up camp, and now we're heading over the mountain after a tip from a cowboy.
Really good tip.
Really good tip to get back on some bulls. So that's what we're doing. Is that better?
Nailed it.
Yeah, exactly.
As you can see behind me, right now we're trying to outrun this storm. Don't think it's gonna happen. There's big, big country up here.
Good. This is elk hunting at its finest.
I've never done anything.
No, never.
How many of you guys think that Jason needs to bring back the mustache?
That stemmed from a bad Idaho hunt. My whole season started off. I hunted day one of my entire archery season in the snow, 10 inches of snow plus, pretty much. And we roll into Idaho, kill a bull in 3 hours. Like, I'm good. You know, we're good. We got this. And we didn't hear a bugle for probably the next 8 days. And so we roll right into Montana. I'm like, I got to change something. And so that was where I went.
I think someone has got a tribute to you.
So Cody called me and said, hey, we're all going to do a mustache in tribute for Jason for the show. Imagine my surprise.
Lies.
When only Cody and I are the ones that show up with a tribute to Jason's stash, I guess.
It was pretty good stash. It was a little bit creepy, not gonna lie. Real creepy.
I wasn't allowed to go by the school for a couple months after until they cleared me.
I got that problem too. I get you. You're good. Schmidt, what happened? What happened?
2 words. Schmidt Show.
The Schmidt Show.
I don't know. It snowed a lot. The first day that you guys didn't get to see, obviously, my release broke, and my bow went off halfway back on 2 bulls, and I shot at 3 within 2 hours. So that is where the Schmidt Show derived.
I think it was much sooner than that. But.
Yeah, it starts like a long time ago. But they finally got to witness
That's
it.
where Steve made his debut in the Schmidt Show. So.
No, I got to hunt with him in 16. It's been a rough year. We're going to get back on track next year.
So Montana was a little bit rough. You go into the late season, and again, you kind of got to do it because when you're hunting 5 states in 50 days, you got to deal with those late season type hunts, which are going to inevitably give you weather. And it was a struggle from the start. I mean, you guys had a lot of fun. You made the best of it.
I guess in their defense, we kind of suckered him in, like, yeah, we're going to go to Montana like mid-September. He's like, perfect, we're in. Kind of things worked out. It's like, well, Montana's season goes to October 15th, so I think that's going to be the last hunt. He's like, what?
Yeah, post-rut was, I mean, it was good. And you don't get to see it a lot because the weather was so crummy and we don't have the camera on a lot. 4 of the 5 of us should have tagged out.
We got on a lot of elk.
It's just, with the camera being off, cold, blizzards, you don't get to see a lot of it. But we were on elk the whole time. It turns out a lot worse on film, but we were
lies.
I'm trying to make my feel.
I was there, man.
No, it was
what
rough.
hunt were you on?
I mean, we were on elk every day besides one, the bear cave day.
No.
But, I mean, it was good. But it was rough. I don't think in my 20 years of bow hunting I've ever struggled that bad. Or not had opportunities come better than that.
Yeah.
I love when you bugle at that elk and they all just turn and run.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was me.
That was the bear cave day, so we bomb in there and we're just, we're having a good time, but it's tough and spirits are starting to ride low and we're heading out of the mountains and we pull over and you're kind of getting down into a valley where you can glass across and we spot a herd of elk over there. Like, this is they're just feeding out of the timber. They don't know we're there. Nobody's bothering them. Nobody's over there.
We were running low on light.
And so this is, you can see it on the video. I think we all got a concussion on the ride over there. Our heads pinball from the top of the roof of the truck to the side of the window. We make it in there in record time. We get out and we run. Yeah, we do. We run and we're there. We're getting close. We got the lay of the land and we all get in position. Me and Steve are both shooters that day, so we kind of spread out so we can both shoot. And Trent's kind of calling the shots. He's like, tell Nick to cow call. I could see him the best. Nick, cow call. And you can kind of see bits and pieces of the elk. Nick cow calls. I'm like, well, those three are nervous after his first cow call. And you're kind of watching, and he cow calls again. I'm like, well, they're more nervous. This isn't working. And they kind of start to trot off, and Trent gives the old, bugle symbol. So I relay it to Nick, let it rip. And I'm like, well, now they're all running. And that was how long that hunt lasted. Our perfect setup made it about 5 minutes into the calling, and
I will say this, you guys didn't see this because me and Steve are horrible at filming what we do. The next day, we found that same herd of elk. They were in the exact same spot, and we were trying to get wind around them so we could come down in on them. They had bedded in that timber, and we get to the top of this timber patch, and there are literally wolf tracks inside of grizzly tracks. And me and Steve look at each other, we're like, oh, maybe that's why they ran off the second I cow called. They may have just been super skittish.
Excuses are like
that's what I blame it on.
Well, I guess I want to remind you, this was a film project.
Yeah. I reminded them of that daily.
I got yelled at a lot on this trip.
I was throwing bows like 3 or 4 different times, saying, turn the camera on then. Oh, that's right.
Trent, could you please explain to me what on contour is?
Yeah, on contour is finding the steepest hill / cliff that you can find, and then Nick going, well, if we just edge on contour, just right around that, I mean, we won't even, we won't gain or lose any elevation, which was us climbing this steep every single time.
Sandy tells me before every hunt I'm responsible for him losing weight, so that is what happens there.
Can I tell a quick story real quick? So we get there, and we're going to go make this pack in, and Steve and I, that's what we do every year is make packs in. We split tents, never done that before. So we're splitting tents. We get there to camp. It was so cold out, our water in our bladders would freeze. You didn't have any water. Jason has water bottles. They were frozen. Nobody really drank water all day. Well, Jason turns out needs more water than most elephants. So you have to have water.
Most camels, right?
We get to camp, and we're about to ready to make camp that night, and Jason starts cramping up. Do you remember this?
A little bit.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of getting worried, and he's just like, I'm starting to cramp up, and so had no water. Everything was frozen, so Steve and I said, you guys get the tents pitched, and we're going to drop and get water. Remember this?
Oh, yeah.
And so we drop and get water, and had to lose, I don't know, it was a long ways. We finally get back after dark, pump some water in, all of us, and get some water. Get to bed that night. Everything's, good to go. Wake up the next morning. Nick's coughing. Do you remember this? Cough, 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 and then it's like a pool of blood in the snow. Remember that?
He blacked
I
out.
looked at Steve, and I'm like, dude, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here now. You remember that? No. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. I'm coughing up blood?
Yeah, you coughed up blood twice.
Well,
wow.
I should drink more water.
Anyway, so that was Montana.
I know. Yeah, I mean, we hiked probably 10 miles that first day to get to when Steve missed, and we didn't drink a drop of water all day. We were froze up.
When Steve missed 3 times.
They expect me not to cramp up.
3 times, not once, but 3.
And I get blamed for that too.
Range hit.
Go ahead.
Anyway,
Steve, any words for yourself?
What's that?
On the miss, what happened?
His buddies didn't range for
Yeah,
that's
what I was getting at.
I thought the first one was good, and when it missed, I fell apart at that point.
Yeah.
It was not good.
No, that happens. I mean, when
He
you're in the heat of
ranged
the
before
moment-
that elk came in. He did. He was ranging trees. I don't know if you could see that, but he did have a couple trees picked out and said, this tree's 35 yards. I remember him telling Trent, this tree's 35 yards. Well, the bull did not come inside those trees like we thought it was. It came out in the wide open field, which is hard to judge.
And it was
Should we
freezing
have-
cold. I mean,
Well, that
it's
was
so hard.
You
had a lot to do with it
it
because
took us, what,
we were
50
sitting there and it was cold, and just like the day that Nick and I was filming Nick on those bulls. I don't know how you did it because your hands. I mean, you had your hands exposed all day long, and I mean, it was freezing.
Yeah.
It was freezing cold, and that was just tough conditions, you know. But
I think the reality is we all had areas of improvement. If we really reflect back on it, I can honestly reflect back on every single hunt. I think each of us had an area where we would be given anything we could have to do a mulligan. I mean, that's the reality, though. Like, it is what it is. We all made mistakes. Just because we all choose to throw it out on YouTube or whatever and, you know, have it there for everyone to look at doesn't mean we're better hunters than anybody by any means. We all make the same kind of mistakes, and that really came through in this whole entire series. You know, there were moments of complete epic failure. There were moments of great jubilation and everything in between, but that's the reality of it is we all probably look back at some times on this trip where we wish we could have done it maybe one more time.
Well, in post-production, here we said we were going to bring you guys the good, the bad, the ugly, and then we were looking and we're like, man, you know, from Colorado to the end of the series, there was a lot of bleak days, and we're just like, man, I wonder how it's going to go over, you know, having all those slow times. It was amazing to see all your guys' comments throughout the whole series. They were so positive, and it was just like, okay, that was an amazing part for us. So.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, guys.
So let's touch on Land of the Free Project 2.0. It's in the works yet? Who's excited about it?
There's still a few.
a little bit.
Yeah, so I think Jason and Nick, there's some redemption. Is that correct?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. We've got Dirk. There's going to be some conglomerations, I guess, of this whole Land of the Free, the first point, to 2.0. We're still kind of working out the details on what states and where. But, yeah, details, right? That's what it all comes down to. But, yeah, we're definitely going to do a day-by-day elk series again this next year. So we're working hard to share that with you guys, and we're really excited about it.
Well, it turned out really good. I mean, like I said, I'm so pumped for you guys. The whole project turned out awesome. Can't wait to see what's coming next. And I don't know how you guys are going to top this, but it's going to be great.
Cody.
You guys got any closing thoughts on, your ideas on the whole project as a whole?
So, on the project as a whole, pretty much everybody that is here has watched this. And to look back on this and the very first day, Trent videoing, Cody videoing, and not knowing they're putting everything in this basket that is Land of the Free. This is basically a foundation for their future. And this entire time, you've seen Trent from day one talking to a camera, not knowing if anybody is going to watch these videos. Yeah, everybody's watched it, but the mindset of Trent and Cody is exactly the same on day one as it was on the extended cuts when they're saying their closing comments of, well, we hope you guys enjoyed this. I mean, every day that we watched it, they talked to everybody that was out there watching like It was an actual live, we are all sitting right there in front of the camera. He's actually just talking to us, not knowing if there's going to be 10 people watch this. He was just, it was everything, the entire project, just his, Trent specifically, his attitude never changed.
Mr. Positive from literally, and that's like, I've got the good fortune to call him my brother. And I mean, being around him, and I think that's one thing, like throughout this whole project, you know, and we've always shared a camp as born and raised, bro, right? It's this brotherhood. And I think throughout this whole thing, like we just opened up and made this brotherhood that much bigger. And now we're sharing the brotherhood with you guys. And we feel like you guys are our brothers, sisters, family in this whole sport of bow hunting. And that's, I think, probably the most touching thing behind it. It's like this commonality and love and passion for everything. It's like, it's pretty amazing.
I think one of the things that struck me the most was just the positivity throughout the entire group. And I think that weighs so much on everyone watching and setting that example from the top down. And it starts with Trent having that positive attitude and just bleeds out to everyone, and every one of you guys having a positive attitude and a positive outlook. And then it bleeds down to everyone and inspires those guys to go out and hunt public lands, and shows people like, you can do this. You can go travel the country and go to 5 different states or one of 5 states and just do. And just do and just do. And like, it stems from this guy right here, but it bleeds out to all of you guys. Just positive people.
100%. I met a handful of people tonight already before the show started that said they were either going to Colorado or Idaho, largely because of watching the series. And that's really the message behind the whole thing. But I want you guys to understand, like, the support that you have given Born and Raised through this project, through subscribing to the channel, to buying the merchandise, to being here tonight, is genuinely life-changing. They're very humble people. They don't mention it much. But the reality is that Trent was going to be cutting timber again pretty quick before this thing took off. And I think the positivity that Cody's mentioned, the amount of exposure and attention and momentum that the whole entire Land of the Free project generated has absolutely been critical for these guys to continue to do this and make a 2.0 and beyond. So again, you know, I hope you understand how important it is that you're here.
Roll tape.
Guys, I hope you liked it. What? Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, that's Trent's MO.
Just,
You know, I'm talking, so let's just talk. Like, interrupt, that's... Yeah.
He's the...
Does this have adhesive? Because I'm going to put that over his mouth.
Guys, we just took over the Onyx booth, so pretty much.
Trent's an 18% owner.
I think we're 18%
19.
owners. Is that what they said?
19. I'm talking to Eric. We're in serious.
Did you sign for that, or?
Talking to Eric. Yeah. I mean, there's.
It's in the works.
Yeah. I mean, there's some, there's some little, fine print that has to be done. But
Some paperwork.
Yeah. I'm sure he'd agree. So, no, we're here. We hope you guys like that podcast. We are going to do some more.
That was so much fun.
We should do it again.
So much fun.
Okay.
We should do it again.
Let's do that
where
again.
are we going to do this? How, like...
I say Bozeman, I'm going to make you guys travel.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We get to get on an aeroplane.
Yeah, we love airplanes.
Call it an aeroplane?
An aeroplane.
Just
Oh my god.
keep your hole
That
shut.
was a red hot chili peppers.
Anyways, all right. Okay, stop.
Sorry.
All right, guys. Thanks, guys, for watching, and hopefully we will see you sooner than later.
Comment on the city
guys.
you want.
Comment.
All right, so outside the comments, go to Cody's podcast, leave a review, and we'll pick a special winner and give you guys a $50 gift card to the Born and Raised store. So leave a review, tell them how you found it, and what, iTunes?
Yep.
The Rich Outdoors?
iTunes, The Rich Outdoors, Stitcher, anything, Podbean, wherever you can find it.
Guys, we have a little inside bet on how many reviews that we think that we could leave him. So please go over there, leave him a review. We'd really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
We're out. Till next time, guys.